I'm Aaron. I've been telling you the last couple videos that I was going to have a big announcement coming, and today's the day. So if you look around the shop here, you can kind of tell there's a lot of stuff missing, and it's a big ass mess. And come out here, stuff's all moved around. A lot of stuff's missing, yard's kind of bare. And got the trailer over here. Did some repairs to the floor inside. And we repacked the bearings and got brand new wheels and tires on it. So the big announcement is Harmon Garage is moving. I sold my house and found another house, and we're gonna move, and that's the main reason I went and got the trailer. I am gonna keep the trailer and fix it up and use it for some other stuff that we'll do here on the channel in the future, but the main reason I went and got it right now was to move, because I can load pretty much my whole house up in it and go. So I'll probably have a video of 1 or 2 of the 7 trips I have to make to move all the cars and tools and house and everything else. And I'll keep you updated on the move as we do it. That's the reason I haven't been real good about uploading videos. I've been super busy trying to get the house ready to sell, and then getting the house sold and making repairs for the inspection, and been selling off a lot of vehicles so that I don't have to move them, and trying to get all the customer work done and everything. I've just been burning oil every day and haven't had a whole lot of time, so I've kind of been bad about the videos. I apologize for that, and might be like that for another couple weeks, and then we'll get back on the regular videos again when I get time. So now on to the actual part of this video. So you might have seen when I was walking back out of the shop that Longhorn is sitting in the doorway, and that's what we're going to work on today. So I had these old wheels laying around, had brand new tires put on them because the tires on this thing didn't really hold air all that well. Put new tires on it, and then I got the engine out of the burnout truck that lifted the rocker stud. I got a new set of heads for it, put it all back together, and I got a 700 R4. We're gonna stab it in here, and it's gonna kind of become a daily driver to replace my flatbed that I had to sell. So my dad's here helping me today. He's been in from out of town helping me get ready to move, so he's hanging out helping me do the truck tonight. And we're gonna slap the motor in just so when I move the truck over there, I don't have a motor and a trans and everything I gotta move. I'm just gonna put it in the truck so I can just load it on the trailer and go all as one piece. So we're not gonna, this will be the next project that I do, but it may be a little bit before we get another video on it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we'll bring you all along for the ride. Alright, sorry if the sound sucks. I got fans going in here. It's 97 degrees before the heat index outside, so gotta have the fans going. But not gonna do a whole lot of talking. First thing we're gonna do is take the hood off, and then we're gonna go ahead and keep going. Alright, this truck sat for 20-something years before I got it. So I'll bring you guys up here and show you in the engine compartment. And then we're just going to go ahead and clean it up a bunch before we stop the motor in. This thing sat out, trees growing up through it for about 20 years without a hood on it. So there's a whole bunch of grass and trees and all kinds of crap in here. There's still some old exhaust in there we're not going to use, all that stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all this stuff cleaned up, and then we'll start stabbing the motor in there. Alright, we already got the motor and the trans on the cherry picker, so we're going to go ahead and lift it up and get it set in. Engine compartment's already all clean. So, I was going to replace the motor mounts, but I checked them while I was in there, and other than being rusty and kind of old, they seem like they're new. So we're just going to go ahead and stab it in there. Alright, we got the motor set in. Got the motor mount bolts in and the transmission sitting on the cross member. This was originally a automatic truck with a turbo 400, and the people that had it before me decided that they wanted to put a manual in it, so they didn't cut a hole in the floor. They changed the steering column, they changed the transmission cross member, and I think they put a clutch pedal in it. I'll follow up on that later, but they didn't do anything else. So I've got another steering column I'm going to change to make it automatic again. And we set a cross member down there, but I wasn't sure where it needed to be for the 700R. So it's just got 2 bolts in it holding the back of the transmission up. So I'm going to get down there and find out where I need it to be so it'll bolt up, and then we'll have the engine installed. Alright everybody, it's the next day. My intention originally for this video was just to get this motor put in, because since I'm moving, I figured it'd be a lot easier to have the motor and tranny in the truck and just be able to suck it up on the trailer with the winch and go. But we got the motor set in last night, and my dad was ready to get out of here, go to bed. It was getting late, so we pushed the truck out of the shop and called it quits. I came out this morning and buttoned up everything underneath, got the trans mount mounted, and got the torque converter bolts put in, tightened down the engine mount bolts, that kind of stuff. Then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, if I'm slapping the motor and trans in here so I have less loose stuff to move, all the parts I've been saving up I got laying around for this truck that I can put on fairly quickly, I might as well just knock out, and it's just less stuff I got to move. So I got a old set of headers here, came off a different truck. We're going to throw in there radiator fan, fan shroud, coolant hoses. I got a carburetor over there that needs to be rebuilt. I'm going to make a quick video on rebuilding that carburetor, and then we'll slap that on here. And just throwing stuff together, it'll be that much closer to getting it running when I get moved, and it'll make it a lot easier on me moving to not have all the extra stuff. So I'm going to get ready to go, and we'll start throwing some stuff on here. Alright, I just went down to the parts store and grabbed some header gaskets and some header bolts. I know I got some laying around here somewhere, but there ain't no telling where they're at. If you don't already know this, if you're doing a small block on a square body truck, you can get the, first off, you can't put the headers in bolted onto the motor. And you can usually get the passenger side header in from the top, but this one I'm not going to be able to, so I'll have to go underneath and stab it up through the bottom. Got it set up through the bottom. I'll just take the front and back bolts and Apparently there's a mud dauber nest or something in that first hole. Alright, got that hole all cleaned out, and I got the very front and the very rear bolt in the header, and these gaskets are notched at the front and back so you can hang the header and then slide the gasket in. Like so, and then you go ahead and put the rest of your bolts in and tighten it down. When I tighten them down, especially on used headers, I always start in the middle, work my way out. That way if they got any warpage to them, it pulls them down tight. I don't know if it actually does anything, but it sounds good to me, so it's just how I do it. Not right or wrong or any different. I'm considering this video a revival because even though it's not something that was sitting, that I got the motor and everything that was in it running again, it still sat there for 20 years and I'm getting it back on the road, so it's kind of the same thing to me. So just considering this a revival. So I'm not going to get it all done in this video. I'm not even going to get started in this video. I'm just getting started on it. So this will be part one, and there will be a couple videos because I'm going to do quite a bit of stuff to this thing before I start driving it. Let's go ahead and finish tightening this header down, and then we'll move over to the other side. Okay, this header we can definitely thread in through the top. Just got to take it slow and try not to scratch everything up. Do the same thing over here, just start the very first bolt and the last bolt. Take our gasket again, slide it down in there. And grab the rest of our bolts and get them started. Alright, next thing we're going to do is toss some spark plugs in it just to fill the holes real quick. I'm going to leave the number 1 plug out because I wasn't smart enough to set the motor at top dead center before I buttoned it all up. So we'll have to bump it over and find out where number 1 is. On just a stock, well, this motor's not stock, this motor's actually semi-hot, but just for something that's going to run regular pump gas and be a daily driver, I don't bother setting the gaps on the plugs. Might make a little bit of difference, but not enough to hurt anything. Now, if it's one of my race car motors or something like that, then I do, but just for a daily pump gas driver, I don't bother with it. They're close enough from out of the box. I look at them, make sure they're not smashed down or nothing, but it's close enough. Usually not good to drop them either, but it happens sometimes. Alright, got those all tightened up. Like I said again, I left number 1 out so we could bump the motor over later and find it. So go ahead and throw the radiator in and go from there. Alright, on the radiator, I got these little rubber feet. I'm not going to say every square body has them, but every square body I've ever worked on has them. They all got different mounting styles, which grab your radiator, and where the seam on the tank is, those seams sit down in those little rubber feet. And there's a bunch of different size radiators. There's big block radiators, there's short radiators, there's tall radiators, there's diesel radiators, there's a bunch of different configurations for the square bodies. This truck originally had a short radiator like this. I don't necessarily care that much for it because it's small core, doesn't have a whole lot of cooling power, and living in the south like we do, that's not always good, but for the time being I had it in another truck and I just want to make this to where it'll run, so I'm going to put it in and we'll run it for a little bit and see how it goes, and if it's not keeping it cool then we'll get a bigger radiator for it. Alright, this is the top mount for this style radiator. It's got a step down. The taller radiators have a flat plate that comes off the top of the core support here and just goes over. But this has those same rubber feet in it that we put down at the bottom. So you do the same thing. We set those on the seams of the tank. And then it's already holes here, threaded holes here for the bolts. If you go to a different style radiator, a taller one or bigger one or something like that, what I normally do, these holes that are here in the top of the core support are the holes for the taller radiator. They just didn't put nuts behind them because they used a different style. They put them wherever, for whatever style radiator it had in it. So I got a nut zert tool and nut zerts, and I usually just stick nut zerts in these holes, put the other style mount on top, and everything lines up. Go ahead and finish tightening this down. Got a couple more things I want to throw on it, and then maybe we'll try to bump it over and see if we can't get it to number 1. If I can get wiring hooked up to a battery, and the wiring is actually good enough to do it. So we'll see here in a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is put the mechanical fuel pump on the motor. Never found a really good way to do this on a small block. On a big block it's easy. They got a little Allen headed plug that screws into the bottom of the housing there, and you can just take that out, push that rod up, and tuck the fuel pump in. I've never found a good way to do it on a small block because you don't have any access like that. So I usually just take like a flathead screwdriver and I get down on there and try to grab a hold of that rod and push it up. Sometimes it'll go easy, sometimes it won't. And then Had it up. Keeps moving on me. Gotta tighten that outer plate down first. I didn't know it was loose. Alright, I got it out. Got my finger in there, and now you gotta try to keep your big finger out of the way. And get the armature of the pump down there inside it like that. And then you're not going to be able to push it tight up against the block because that arm needs to be collapsed. You got to get it down. You got to collapse it against that rod. That rod, if you don't know, rides up there on the cam. There's a lobe on the cam that pushes it out, and then there's spring tension on the little arm on the fuel pump here, and it pushes it back out when it comes off the lobe of the cam. And that's what works the diaphragm in the fuel pump and makes it pump fuel. Alright, got the fuel pump on there. That'll cover up that hole in the motor. Not going to hook the lines up to the tank or anything yet because I'm going to be spinning the motor over. And I haven't even looked in these fuel tanks. I don't know. They could be full of dirt for all I know, so I don't want to suck anything up in that fuel pump. So I'm just going to put it on there, leave the lines disconnected. Looks like we still got radiator hoses, fan, and fan shroud. And then I'm going to try to hook up the wiring, bump this thing over and see if we can't get it to go. Or find cylinder 1 so we can drop the distributor in, and then once we get to that point, it's going to be pretty much it for this for right now. So I'm going to move some stuff around, I'll grab the other parts, and we'll start going on this again. Okay, so I just stuck the fan shroud up there. It's kind of broken. I'm going to have to do something interesting to make it stay for now, and then I'll look all over for another one, see where I can find it. So got that on. We're going to go ahead and stick the fan in here. That fan shroud's too far gone. We're going to just leave it off for now, and I'll find another one. We'll just stick the fan on and go from there. Maybe. Alright, then we're just going to tighten the fan bolts down. And then I'm going to try to get the wiring hooked up. If I can get the wiring hooked up to where it'll work, then I'll bring you guys back and we'll bump it over, find top dead center, and then I'll show you how I drop distributors. So, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, I got all the wiring sorted out. Got the alternator hooked up, which doesn't matter because we don't have a belt or nothing on it yet anyways. And I got all the wires run down to the starter. I went ahead and hooked up the oil pressure. This is my temperature, but it's all messed up and I'm not starting it right now, so I'm not too worried about it. Before I try to bump the key over, I'm going to go ahead and try to put oil in, or go ahead and put some oil in it. It doesn't have any oil in it, and I don't want to bump it over without oil in it, so I'm going to go ahead and fill the motor up, and then I'll hit the key and see if the electronics are still working, see if this thing's going to bump. So we'll do that now. I use Wix filters, 51060, 51061. Fits just about any Chevy small block, big block, up till about 98, I'd say. Not sponsored by them or anything like that. I've just been using them for a long time and I've had real good luck with them. So got some oil once again. It's nothing special, it's just oil. So I'm going to put about 5 quarts in, and then it's probably going to take another half quart or so afterwards, but 5 will do it just to crank it. Alright, I got 5 quarts in. Not worried about oil pressure gauge working right now or anything like that. I know this motor's good. The bottom end hasn't been apart at all since it was in the burnout truck. All I did was put different heads on it, so it had great oil pressure then. It should be fine now. I'm going to go ahead and go hit the key and see if the wiring's any good, see if it'll crank over. Alright, it cranked, and just so happens my wife came out to check on me, so I'm going to have her jump in there and hit the key so I can stick my finger in this number 1 spark plug hole here and find out when we got top dead center. So, you know what I mean? Just pump it. If I need you to go more, I'll say it again. Just go like this. Bump, bump. I'll say it again, until we get where we need to be. Go ahead. Whoa! Just bump it. Don't let it crank, just bump, bump, just hit the key just enough for the motor to move and then let off. Go. Again, 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 again. Alright, right there. Alright, we got compression coming out of that cylinder. And our timing marks on the harmonic balancer lined up with our timing tab. So I'm going to go ahead and climb up there and drop this distributor in. Nice thing about these square bodies, even if you're 6'7", 250 pounds, you can climb in here and take a nap on the engine if you want to. Got that pointed over at number, in the general direction of number 1 now. So I can lightly lock that down right there, and I'll throw the distributor cap on it. Then it'll be sealed up enough to transport it. We don't have to worry about it no more. So I'm gonna get a wrench and snug down that hold down, and then I'll throw the cap on and we'll start wrapping this thing up. It's nasty. It's sat for 20 years. Got a new grill for it there, but I'll make another video cleaning the interior out real good, making it more comfortable. I'm gonna do some things to fix up the outside, make it a little bit nicer looking. Put some mirrors on it. I got a ton of parts for it. I got all new lights. I hate old faded lights, so I put new lights on everything. So I got a pile of parts. I got tail lights, I got dome lights, I got fender marker lights, I got just about everything. Here's the carburetor that's going on it. It's just a Edelbrock 600 1406. So I'm gonna, next video you'll see after this one, will be me showing everybody how to rebuild that, just in case anybody wants to know how to rebuild Edelbrock carburetors. I got a rebuild kit here for it. Dang, I'm dropping everything on the floor tonight. So, but we made a lot of progress. I'm probably not going to work on this truck again until after the move. I just wanted to get as many of the parts as I could on it or in it, so makes it easier to move. So I pretty much accomplished that. So we're gonna get it loaded up and haul it to the new shop, and then we'll continue on with it there. There'll be a few more episodes in the series on this truck. Got a lot of plans for what I want to do with it. So I appreciate y'all watching, taking the time. Please like and subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't, tell me if there's anything that you want to see that I may not be explaining, or if there's something that you want to know about, like the way I do things, and want to know how I would do it, just shoot me a comment or a message, and I'll try to make a video on it or explain it. But once again, I appreciate y'all, so y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.